So it is a 46th day of enlightenment on no death. And today we will be knowing about that there is no death and law of rebirth by Alice A. Bailey. Before we get into those topics, I would like to read a little bit about her. Alice A. Bailey was born on June 16, 1880, and who vacated her body on December 15, 1949, a prolific writer on mysticism and the founder of an international esoteric movement. Her works, written between 1919 and 1949, describe a wide ranging system of esoteric thought covering such topics as how spirituality relates to the solar system, meditation, healing, spiritual psychology, the destiny of nations, and prescriptions for society in general. She described the majority of her work as having been telepathically dictated to her by an ascended master, initially referred to only as the Tibetan or by the initials TK, later identified as Jwel Khul. So this is about this author, friends, and getting into the topic. The first topic is there is no death. I speak about death as one who knows the matter from both the outer world experience and the inner life expression. There is no death. There is, as you know, entrance into fuller life. There is freedom from the handicaps of the fleshly vehicle. The rending process, so much dreaded, does not exist, except in the cases of violent and of sudden death. And then the only true disagreeables are an instant and overwhelming sense of imminent peril and destruction, and something closely approaching an electric shock, no more. For the unevolved, death is literally a sleep and a forgetting, but the mind is not sufficiently awakened to react, and the storehouse of memory is as yet practically empty. For the average good citizen, death is a continuance of the living process in his consciousness and a carrying forward of the interests and the tendencies of life. His consciousness and his sense of awareness are the same and unaltered. He does not sense much difference, is well taken care of, and is unaware that he has passed through the episode of death. For the wicked and cruelly selfish, for the criminal, and for those few who live for the material side only, there eventuates that condition which we call earthbound. The links they have forged with earth and the earthward bias of all their desires force them to remain close to the earth and their last setting in the earth environment. They seek desperately and by every possible means to contact it and to re-enter. In a few cases, great personal love for those left behind or the non-fulfillment of a recognized and urgent duty holds the good and beautiful in a somewhat similar condition. For the aspirant, death is an immediate entrance into a sphere of service and of expression to which he is well accustomed and which he at once recognizes as not new. In his sleeping hours, he has developed a field of active service and of learning. He now simply functions in it for the entire 24 hours, talking in terms of physical plane time, instead of for his usual few hours of earthly sleep. The mind of man is so little developed that fear of unknown, terror of the unfamiliar, and an attachment to form have brought about a situation where one of the most beneficent occurrences in the life cycle of an incarnating Son of God is looked upon as something to be avoided and postponed for as long a time as possible. Death, if we could but realize it, is one of our most practiced activities. We have died many times and shall die again and again. Death is essentially a matter of consciousness. We are conscious one moment on the physical plane, and a moment later we have withdrawn onto another plane and are actively conscious there. Just as long as our consciousness is identified with the form aspect, death will hold for us in its ancient terror. Just as soon as we know ourselves to be souls and find that we are capable of focusing our consciousness or sense of awareness in any form or any plane at will or in any direction within the form of God, we shall no longer know death. People are apt to forget that every night, in the hours of sleep, we die to the physical plane and are alive and functioning elsewhere. They forget that they have already achieved facility in leaving the physical body because they cannot as yet bring back into the physical brain consciousness the recollection of that passing out and of the subsequent interval of active living. They fail to relate death and sleep. Death, after all, is only a longer interval in the life of physical plane functioning. One has only gone abroad for a longer period, but the process of daily sleep and the process of occasional dying are identical, with the one difference that in sleep, the magnetic thread or current of energy along which the life force streams is preserved intact and constitutes the path of return to the body. In death, this life thread is broken or snapped. When this has happened, the conscious entity cannot return to the dense physical body, and that body, lacking the principle of coherence, then disintegrates. The young forget, and rightly forget, the inevitability of the final symbolic detachment which we call death. But when life has played its part and age has taken its toll of interest and strength, the tired and world weary man has no fear of the detaching process and seeks not to hold on to that which earlier was desired. He welcomes death and relinquishes willingly that which earlier engrossed his attention. Death, as the human consciousness understands it, pain and sorrow, loss and disaster, joy and distress, are only such because man as yet identifies himself with the life of the form and not with the life and consciousness of the soul. The soul are in angel. The moment a man identifies himself with his soul and not with his form, then he understands the meaning of the law of sacrifice. He is spontaneously governed by it, and he is one who will, with deliberate intent, choose to die. But there is no pain, no sorrow, and no real death involved. The intent for man is to die, as every man has to die, at the demand of his own soul. When man has reached a higher stage in evolution, with deliberation and definite choice of time, he will consciously withdraw from his physical body. It will be left silent and empty of the soul, devoid of light, yet sound and whole. It will then disintegrate under the natural process, and its constituent atoms will pass back into the pool of waiting units until they are again required for the use of incarnating souls. Again, on the subjective side of life, the process is repeated, but many have already learned to withdraw from the astral body without being subject to that impact in the fog, which is a symbolic way of describing the death of a man upon the astral plane. He then withdraws on the mental level and leaves his astral carcass to swell the fog and increase its density. The processes of dying and of dissolution and the dissipation of forms goes on every moment without producing contagious contamination or the disfiguring of the surface of the earth. The results of dissolution are beneficent in effect. Ponder on this beneficent activity and on the beauty of the divine plan of death and disappearance. The cycle in which we now live has seen the greatest destruction of human forms in the entire history of our planet. There has been no destruction of human beings. Because of this wholesale destruction, humanity has made a very rapid advance towards a more serene attitude in connection with death. This is not yet apparent, but in a few years' time, the new attitude will begin to be marked, and the fear of death will begin to die out in the world. This will also be largely due to the increased sensitivity of the human response apparatus, leading to a turning inward or to a new orientation of a human mind with unpredictable results. So, this is one topic, friends, about that there is no death. And the other topic is law of rebirth. I would like to continue. The law of rebirth is a great natural law upon our planet. It is a process instituted and carried forward under the law of evolution. It is closely related to or conditioned by the law of cause and effect. It is a process of progressive development, enabling men to move forward from the grossest form of unthinking materialism to a spiritual perfection and an intelligent perception, which will enable a man to become a member of the kingdom of God. It accounts for the differences among men and in connection with the law of cause and effect, which we call as karma. It accounts for differences in circumstances and attitudes of life. It is the expression of the will aspect of the soul and is not the result of any form decision. It is the soul in all forms which reincarnates, choosing and building suitable physical, emotional, and mental vehicles through which to learn the next needed lessons. The law of rebirth, as far as humanity is concerned, comes into activity upon the soul plane. Incarnation is motivated and directed from the soul level upon the mental plane. Souls incarnate in groups, cyclically, under the law and in order to achieve right relations with God and their fellow men. Progressive unfoldment under the law of rebirth is largely conditioned by the mental principle for as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Under the law of rebirth, man slowly develops mind. The mind begins to control the feelings, emotional nature, and finally reveals the soul and its nature and environment to man. At that point in his development, the man begins to tread the path of return and orients himself gradually after many lives to the kingdom of God. When, through a developed mentality, wisdom, practical service, and understanding, a man has learned to ask nothing for the separated self, he then renounces desire for life in the three worlds and is free from the law of rebirth. He is now group conscious, is aware of his soul group and of the soul in all forms, and has attained, as Christ has requested, a stage of Christ like perfection, reaching unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of the Christ. We shall know that we are eternally related to the souls of all men, and that we have a definite relationship with those who reincarnate with us, who are learning with us the same lessons, and who are experiencing and experimenting with us. Civilization, cultures, races, and nations appear and disappear, but the same individualities come and go with them, garnering the fruits of experience and progressively marching on to fuller self government and group organization and synthesis. It would appear that as yet only two rules are posited in connection with the return of an ego to a physical incarnation. The first is that if perfection has not been achieved, then the soul must return and continue the perfecting process upon earth. The second is that the impulse predisposing the ego to such action is some form of unsatisfied desire. The main incentive is sacrifice and service to those lesser lives that are dependent upon the higher inspiration, which the spiritual soul can give, and the determination that they too may attain planetary status equivalent to that of a sacrificing soul. Each soul withdrawn from the body has come to earth repeatedly, and many millions are here today, particularly those who were present in later Atlantean times and who are, therefore, the flower and the highest product of that highly emotional race. They bring with them the predispositions and the innate tendencies with which their past history has endowed them. A particular incarnation is not an isolated event in the life of the soul, but is a part and an aspect of a sequence of experience which are intended to lead to one clear, definite goal, the goal of free choice and the deliberate return of matter to spirit and eventual liberation. This is from the book, both are from the book, friends, The Ponder on This by Alice A. Bailey. So both are very interesting topics, friends. And so if there is anybody who would like to share any experience or anything about this topics, please go ahead and you can unmute yourself. Yes, friends. Yes, Shanu, please go ahead.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Shanu.
Another beautiful day and another beautiful topic. Yes, it was indeed a beautiful one. And the best thing that I loved about this is the sentence when she says that the process of rebirth is the process of evolution. So that is something which was really, really profound. The statement was really profound. And earlier also during when I was sharing my experiences, I also shared an experience of a lady when I was attending Dr. Newton's program, that she saw her 80 lives, all the 80 lives in which she was able to feel and see that how she was evolving with each and every life that she was getting, how the evolution process was taking place in her life. So earlier this was a thing, and recently I also went through the same experience few days back when I was, since everybody now knows that I communicate with the trees and the animals, so I was communicating with the trees, and there was one tree I was communicating with, which is also called the Yggdrasil, and the tree of the universe. And there was no message for me. I did not get any message, but surprisingly, that tree took me to my recent last incarnation. So my last incarnation was in 1916 in the Victorian era. And he showed me certain things, that how I died, all the circumstances, why I died, and what was the reason of my death, and how I died. I died, apparently it was, because Yggdrasil, the tree, was connected to me because I died there in his lap. So he was showing me that how I died. But one thing which I learned from there was that from the mineral kingdom, since that time, the feeling of this loneliness was always there in me. But slowly and gradually, with every birth that I was taking, I was trying to, curb this kind of a feeling or an emotion, and I was trying to evolve. And in the last incarnation, I think 90% of that feeling, I was able to erase, and whatever the 10% is left, I'm still struggling with the same thing, but only 10% remains. So there is a lot of, I was just going through when you were reading this topic, so I was just trying to relate myself to my incarnations that I have seen, that how I was also evolving in my incarnations and what was I learning from them. And today, if I'm able to heal this kind of an emotion, in the next incarnation there will be none of this negative emotion with me. So yes, the rebirth is the process of evolution that we feel and see. So yes, I just wanted to share my experience. So thank you so much.
Beautiful. Beautiful experience, Sharu. Beautiful. Yes, as we all know that it's not a punishment that we are here on the earth plane. It's not like you have to, you have to pay for what you have done in the past. Yes, that is one thing, but with the understanding, you know that you are evolving. You are leaving the old patterns and you are going towards new. So yes, we are each birth we are evolving. So yes, thank you so much. Yes, friends. Anybody else? Yes, Ram.
Morning, everyone. Again, wonderful article and nice sharing, Sharu. Beautiful as we keep on realizing that we are only evolving here. You know how comforting it is in our journey. So your experience is a confirmation for each one of us because we are all connected, and your experience is my experience. My experience is your experience. Our experience is everyone's experience. So sharing our journey is just making each one of us deep inside remembering the same truth. So thank you for sharing your journey, Saru. And in this article, one of the most profound things that I liked was towards the end of the first article where she says, in very soon coming years, we are going to drop the fear of, you know, death, and we all, uh, let's say, understand the process that when we leave the body, we continue and there is no death. So I see that we are in these years because more and more, day by day, we see, at least I see, people are connecting to that phase of understanding that there is no death. So it's great to be in these times wherein huge shift is happening. So again, it's a confirmation, right? Every day, although the article seems the same, they're all confirming the same thing. So the more we keep on hearing this, the more we keep on reading, the more we keep on sharing, we are bringing more of that energy of transformation in us and even around us without we being conscious of it. So thanks a lot. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, Ram. Thank you so much. So yes, friends, in the first article, it is also mentioned that as we've been hearing in many articles, we have heard in many articles that during our sleep, we partially vacate our body. No, we disconnect from our body. So that will be only for few hours, but whereas in the death, it's like 24 hours. We will be doing our job in the other worlds. So why to fear death, isn't it? Yeah, we should embrace death. It is not new for us, but still we push it. We don't want to go near to it. So the moment you embrace and accept that death is a natural thing that is happening with us from many years or many lives, then there is no fear. So yes, friends, these readings are not only just for us to understand this, but also for our loved ones, for our friends, and for our, like for our families who are going through the tough situation. And these knowledge should be shared to them. You have to sit with them and you have to discuss with them, because the more they let go of the fear of death, the more they can be freer in the other worlds, and also they can live life here on this earth plane happily. So yes, friends, this is this is what today. And if there is anybody who wants to share any more experience, yes, Indraji.
Yeah, thank you, Sariji. It's wonderful the sharing of your experiences of past lives, and it brings us a lot more clarity on what the author is trying to say on the cycle of life and death, a repeated cycle until we reach final emancipation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Indraji.
Thank you, Indraji. Thank you, Ram sir. Thank you so much.
So yes, friends, so we can end the session. And friends, do not forget that this May 30th we will be having a Patri sir, so wherein we can have our questions and we can share with him our experiences. And I request you all to note your questions on that day, so it will be easier for us to not think on that spot, but well prepared to ask him. And the other thing is, friends, we instead of meeting at 6 a.m. Germany time, we will meet 15 minutes earlier to that time, because this message will be shared to many people, will be going everywhere about this session. So we should not miss, the ones who are joining the sessions should not miss, because the Zoom has only 100 capacity. So I want you all to come 15 minutes prior, so we meditate and then we welcome Patrisa. Yes, friends. Yes, Pamni Garu. Please go ahead.
Ma'am, could you please post a picture of today's article in the
I'm
group?
so sorry. Yes, Pamni Garu, I'll do that.
It's
Yes,
okay, ma'am.
yes,
I
yes.
can understand. Yeah, it's okay. Only
Yeah.
Today's one.
What I'll do is I'll take all the pictures in the
Huh.
coming days and I'll post. I'll put it in a drive and I'll send it out in the group. That will be much easier, right?
But for today, this one,
I'll do
I'll.
that.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Because I
Yeah.
couldn't concentrate today's. Yeah.
No
We want
problem.
to finish along with you,
Yes,
actually,
yes.
me and Madhu. Yeah. Huh?
I'll do that, Pamni Garu.
On the day when Patri sir is coming, is it in the evening?
No.
Not
It is
in
in
the
the
morning?
morning only. It's the same time.
Okay.
It is.
According to Indian time, it is morning only, no?
It's 9:30. Yeah, Indian time
Yeah, same time.
9:30. But I request you to come 9:15.
Yeah,
India time.
definitely.
Yeah.
We are all awaiting actually.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
yes. Thank you, Pamni Garu. So yes, friends, that's all for today. And today evening we will be having a Master Yana for a consciousness creation session at 6 p.m. Germany time or 9:30 p.m. India time. And for tomorrow, we will be having Rudolf Steiner speaking about wisdom is spiritual light. So, yes, friends, that is for tomorrow's topic. And till we see each other, just celebrate life, be happy, and keep smiling and keep meditating and spread the light. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharon.